Good morning, folks. This is Shippy the Explorer coming to you from College Park, Maryland, USA. Beautiful College Park, folks. And today uh, I'm coming to you from the back porch of this lovely place and show you how the trees and the plants, well, trees and plants with fruit have bloomed out with their lovely tree leaves and all that. Well, welcome to this station, and trust that you are all right. I always trust that you are all right, and if you're not, we'll sympathize and pray for you in our thoughts and all sorts of things that you are okay. So here we are today. It's another exciting day, and what, Shippy the Explorer, what do we bring to you? What kind of exciting topic do I bring to you? And an hour ago I didn't know what I was going to talk about, and my wife said, oh, just lay down and it will come to you. And then all of a sudden I realized that we have the topic of clutter. Are we the clutter kings and queens of our societies? Over our mind, body, and place. And here we are, we start out on the deck, which is evenly spaced out and uncluttered. And even the tomato plants that are coming up, you see they are cluttered, but they are spaced out. And start out this morning with this organized situation, because as we go into the video, we're gonna realize that there's clutter and there is clutter in our society. So you may not think you're a person that clutters and accumulates and store things. We are storing things like we are squirrels, or we are mice or something like that. But forgive me if I associate us with those little animals. But I would probably take the squirrel, because if you don't know squirrel in America, then what they do, they store their nuts during in the fall, and store and store and store. And there's a little one that I like called the chipmunk. I haven't seen any for a long time, but it's a cute little animal. It's so cute. I would probably take one as a pet. I don't want to pet a squirrel, but a chipmunk, it's a cute little thing. You could probably have it in your pocket and around your neck, and then you can probably give it some nuts or something like that. I'm just curious about that chipmunk. Maybe I should get a picture of the chipmunk and show it here. But the chipmunks and the squirrels, they store things like crazy, and so we too. And then let's talk about the clutter. The clutter. We are the clutter kings and queens of any society. And why do we clutter? Why do we think we need all these things? Well, let's see. There's some clutter here, some chairs that were donated from the church, and there's some tables here. If you don't know, there's a history about these tables. The white Kennedy Center hotel was closing out and getting rid of their stuff, and I passed back there some years ago, and this is the historical connection between me and the Kennedy Center. I bought a few of the tables from that hotel, but they're here and they're hardly used. They're used for a wedding and another couple parties, but they're here. It's a clutter. But let's start with the clutter of the mind. You may want to say that we are not cluttering thoughts, good thoughts and bad thoughts in our minds, but as human being, you can tell me, every so often these thoughts just come to us and we can't avoid them. No, you're dealing with family members, you're dealing with friends, you're dealing with co-workers, you're dealing with the government, you're dealing with politicians and our leaders, and ever so often your mind just revert to clutter and bring in the thoughts of bad thoughts. And you have to be conscious of that, because you want to say to yourself, you say your ego, just look into yourself and say, why does my head or my superego bring out that thought into place? Why? I remember when I was in college, one day I was in the classroom in the lecture hall, and well, you have the lecture hall, and it's like a stadium, and the lecturer is down the bottom, and the lecturer is down there teaching or disseminating information to us. And then there was a guy that beside me, and he kept on asking question, and so my mind just revert to him. My mind just revert to him and convert him into a monster, and say he was like a monster, just yabbity 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 yabbity, and just chatting away. And my mind thought revert him into a big monster beside me. And I said, oh, wish he could get rid of that monster, because apparently he was disturbing the whole class, or maybe me. So why that thought came to me, that I wish he could just disappear. The bad thought came into my mind that should happen. And I have to so really control myself. How was I mad? Was I insane? No, it's the clutter of bad information, or bad lessons that came up in your mind. Oftentimes you think of something else that's bad that you wish that would happen. And you just have to control your mind and say, okay, I'm not crazy. Because the head or the ego, well, you control it with the ego, because the head or the superego is controlling you at that moment. And every so often you see people do bad things to others. People, they just run up. There's a simple case, which is somebody is walking the street, and all of a sudden you see a person approaching the other person, and suddenly the person just slap the person in the face. Bow! And the other person in the street just falls over. And so often that person is injured. And once in a while that person dies. Now, why did that person, the one that slapped the person, did those things? Is that person crazy? Or it's the clutter of bad information, bad thought that cluttered the mind and just took over that person and did that thing? And why does other people just see you on the road, and you're walking on the road, and a group of guys in the car just stop, and they think you're of another race or complexion, or you look like you have some money on you, and they just stop the car and encircle you and think you want to rob you. I was in Paris with my wife one night, and we left the hotel, and she doesn't believe that. We were in the hotel, and we said, all right, let's walk out up into one of the rues. I think they call the roads rues or streets or something like that. And we were walking, so let's walk up to one of the monuments, maybe like 8 or 9 o'clock at night, so we can see the lights of Paris. And about quarter mile from the hotel, we saw a group of guys coming down on the opposite side of the road, and about 6 of them. And suddenly my spirit my spirit got vexed and disturbed. And believe it or not, the guys that came across the street, and you have this instinct that you think that somebody is gonna rob you. And suddenly I was prepared for that. I went across to my left, and I saw a discarded piece of board, maybe about 4 feet long. And I took it up and I held it in my hand. And believe it or not, the guys came around us and encircled. And I started to bounce the board on the concrete pavement. And then one of them says, do you know the way to the shelter? Because apparently they act like they were homeless guys, maybe refugees or something, and they were trying to find the shelters. This couldn't be the first night they're going to the shelter. But why did they encircle you? They could have stayed across the street, and one could have come across the street and asked us a question, or one could have shouted around over across the street. The street wasn't that wide, but I think my spirit was telling me that they were going to rob us, or trying to. And when he asked the question, do you know the shelter? I took the stick, the board, and gave it one big lick on the concrete pavement. Bow! It says, I don't know where the thing is. I don't know where those things is. And they realized and thought I was a madman or something like that. But they saw where was prepared. My spirit told me to do that in protection of myself and my wife. And after they said, okay, I said, why don't go down to the bar or something like that, the pub, and ask them. They are here stable. They would know where the shelter is. And that, I think, I said to my wife, that was a bad thought of they gonna rob me. So the clutter of bad thought came to them, I suspected, and I unconsciously, or my spirit, told me what to do. So that's the clutter of the minds. But we are clutter of the body. The body, we take on excess food, we eat fat, we eat sugar. I'm preaching to the choir, folks, because I love my sugar. I love my condensed milk. And some of you who know me, you know what I'm talking about. But lately, I'm going to tell you a story. Lately have cut back on that. I'm not taking a lot of sugar from the last 2 months. Well, let's say a month, because of this hip problem. So we take on sugar, we take on starch, we take on fat, we take on salt, and we eat all this excessive red meat, and we drink the cow's milk, and we eat very little vegetable. But some people who likes vegetable and fruits and all that, then I think they are taking all that on the body. So what is the body doing? Calling for all those things? Why does the body call for those? Because they are available? So we are cluttering the body. And you know that if we take on a lot of sugar, the sugar causes inflammation of the body. We take on, and you're not able to walk and run and think clearly. You're not able to think clearly. So your body is shutting down. The sugar is converting into carbohydrate, and then it's shutting down the arteries of the body, and it's cluttering your mind. So you're not functioning right. You're not able to see. If you might get diabetes, you're not able to see certain things, and your vision is impaired. And so if you take on the salt, it's also causing the causing the hypertension. I'm not talking like a doctor. I'm talking from experience, folks. So you you can't say, "Well, this boy, now this man knows about these things." I'm talking from experience. So, and I'm going to go right back to the clutter of the salt, the salt, because we as former and descendants of the former enslaves, we were, or this, or our ancestors were were forced or conditioned to eat the salted pork, the salted beef, the salted shad, the salted herring, the salted codfish, and other fishes. And so that has ingrained in our body, and for some reason it is causing hypertension left and right in our generation. The generations that have the 4 or 5 generations now, 6 generations in slavery, and we are suffering from that, and we seem like we cannot get rid of the salt, and we are cluttering our body with all those things. So I started a campaign. Let's diverse a little bit. That we don't want. I want us to stop eating the saltfish. And when I say saltfish, I mean saltfish, because it's not salted codfish anymore. Salted codfish, I talked about it before. Salted codfish was when you go to the store and you used to buy the codfish, and piece jump out from as the haberdasher man chop the piece of fish, and piece jump out, and you take up that piece and put it in your mouth. It melt in your mouth. That was codfish. But this junk that they're selling, I think I'm gonna start a campaign and keep on talking about it. I think it's maybe artificial fish or something like that. I don't think, because when you put it in the pot, sometimes you see it curl up like a monster. And that, I heard when it curls up like that, that it's salted shark. And the other one is that when you're boiling it, and it doesn't curl up. But when you debone it and you put it especially in a hockey, and you put it in your mouth, and a piece of the codfish gets into your mouth, and you try to chew and chew and chew, and never break that down. And when you suck the juice out and look at it, it looks like a lump of brown cotton. That's the description. So we are cluttering our bodies with all these unnutritious food. And then we have to be retaught how to eat properly. They're saying have your vegetable and a little carbohydrate, and you have to have your protein like egg and your yogurt, Greek yogurt, not even ordinary yogurt, not the ones with the sugar and all that. And that's in a society like this. If you have those things, and your fresh fruits, and then lots of water to flush the body. But what if you're in a society where you only have you can get only a piece of meat to eat? You don't have all these things. What do? You just have to absorb and take in whatever you can find. You're living in the wild, and you see a deer, or you see another wild animal, and you catch it, and that's what you have. But the only good thing about that is you're not eating a lot of these proteins, and you're running around free in the fresh air, and so you're not cluttering your minds, your body with all those things. So come back to United States now, where we are. I have I have been a fault for doing this, and we come into a society. Well, let's cut cross the because I'm going to show you an example of Clutter King. I'm going to put myself into the clutter things of the society. And here we are. We buy excessive clothes and we don't know what to do with them. We cannot wear them out. And ever so often we're trying. Telling the truth, every year in the United States, we pack the bags of clothes, 4 or 5 of them, and we try to get rid of these things. And we have clothes and shoes and all sorts of things, and we cannot get rid of them. Is it a disease or a curse? No, I'm not sure. And then I accumulate things. I've been accumulating little intricate things, chairs and boxes and chemicals and all sorts of things and old artifacts and toys that I don't know what to do with them. And then a friend of mine came here one time and said, look at the garage of Shippy the Explorer. You did all these things? And I say, my answer to the person was that I think so. I think I need everything inside of here. But that was about 10 years ago. And then as I get older, I realize that I don't need all these things. And I wish I could get rid of it. I wish I could get rid of them. But when you probably have the same problem like me, folk. Most of us, a lot of us, I'm not going to say most of us, many of us have that same problem. When you put your hands on, look at this. When I put my hands on, say for instance, a whole vacuum, what the heck am I keeping this for? Because Shippy the Explorer is an artifact person, I'm hoping that I would probably start a museum. Yes, I probably do. But look at that. It's a cylinder vacuum. I kept that. Why do I keep a box of tools? Why do I keep these electronic things? Am I going to build a house? No more. Why do I keep all these old tools? Because I'm hoping that one day I'll have plumbing problem. Why do I keep this bloody pump? It stopped working. Should just throw it in the trash. And I'm saying one day I'm gonna find nothing is wrong with the pump itself, only the tube. And say one day, look at it. See, it's perfect. So I can't get rid of it because I have the difficulty of getting rid of it because I find something good about it. Why do I keep all this cups and sauces and spices? Because maybe I'm a clutter king. I'm a clutter king. I cannot admit it. Why do I keep these locks? I'm not gonna build another house. You hope? And the answer is people like me and some of us think that one day I'll need that item. Yes, you think that you're keeping these things because one day you think that you would need these material. Now we just finished a project and I kept this drywall because I'm hoping to cover that hole. But I'm getting a little bit older, and unless I get a contractor to do that, I'm not gonna go up there. Maybe. Why do I keep whole tools from the whole trade? Can't get rid of it. because I think I'm a clutter king. Clutter king. Now, I wish, and that's for maybe a young person who is very innovative. I wish that somebody would find, apart from the junk, there's a company called the junk company or whatever. They come to the house and they clean it out. But I wish there is a person who thinks that they could make an appointment to come to the house and just go through your items and identify things that we don't need and say, all right, I will take that off your hand. I will buy that from you for a few dollars and just load them up and give me some money. That would be a good thing for me. I wouldn't be a clutter king anymore. I would gladly get rid of some of those things. Because if I'm getting a few dollars and from the items, and they're not going to waste, they're not going to be dumped in the trash in the trash pile. I think if something good is coming from it, then I would partake of that. So here we are. I'm back in the backyard, and here we are. We have wood, a clutter of wood, because years ago I had removed up to 40 trees from this property. 40 trees, folks. I removed 40 and I'm still having hundreds more. But I did not want to waste, coming from third world country, I did not want to waste that wood. So I cut them up and I stock them, split them, and I store them like the average American folks. And here we are. Is it a clutter or is it long-term plan? Because I'm thinking one day maybe we won't have electricity. One day maybe you can't say it. One day you can't say it doesn't happen. One day we could have a civil disturbance. One day we could have where our energy sources is cut off from us. And I know that I know that I have a stock of wood that I can rely on. I can take this wood and start a fire, and I can cook my food. I can keep warm in the winter, and I can keep hope alive and continue to live. So, am I a clutter king in this sense? Maybe not. Maybe you would say, maybe you would say, Shippy the Explorer, why you need all that wood? That's true. Maybe I don't need all of this. Maybe I don't need it. Maybe I need only half core. They call it core. It's a quart, or something like that. Some people may want to write me and say, what is the right word? Maybe I don't need all of that. So I should probably just get rid of some of them. But it's still clutter, because if push come to shove, I still have the forest in the backyard, and I wouldn't cut the good tree or a good tree. But if you look good, I have trees that are dead or dying, and I would. There you are. I can go into the woods and take up branches, and I can make my fire and provide meal for my family, because there's abundance in this country. And this is a side thought. I said maybe this is another industry. Or what if it was economically um, viable? I was a young man. I would go get permission from the park and planning to gather the dead trees, cut the dead trees out of the forest, gather them and cut them up, and then box them up or put them in a container and ship them to places like India, especially India, where they have the ghats, where they need the wood to burn. Can you imagine having the oak tree, the wood of the oak tree, just burning in a blue flame on the ghats, where you get rid of you burn the loved ones, you cremate the loved ones, and you have all this abundant wood in this country just going to waste. And then that way I'd get rid of my clutter. But it's not all gloom and doom this morning, folks, because I know I've really know people who have overcome this I can't even call it a syndrome or condition of gathering and gathering and gathering. There's some of us, we have been successful in keeping our space, our mind, body, and space, and especially the space, clear. Some people, I know, I give you credit, friends of mine, you have been able to see the item and identify the item, and in a space of a month or so you have been able to snatch it up and dump the dickens out of it and get rid of it. So keep your environment clean, keep your environment from being uncluttered, so you are the king and queens of clearance. And I give you credit because you are able to do that. Look at that. There's a container here that I bought to do trash dump collection at one of the properties, and the trash company told me I could not use it. And so it has been stored there for years. Now I use it to keep more clutter. I have tools and equipment in there. I'm afraid to show that because if somebody come and probably raid this place, then I know I'm not losing anything. Here we are, more materials to get rid of. But back to the success of the ones who are identifying. You're quickly identifying when bad thoughts come to your mind, and you're able to override them with good thoughts. You're able to look at the recipe and read and understand that you need to have a balanced diet of fruits and vegetable and some carbohydrate and less salt and less sugar. Yes, less alcohol to a certain extent. You are able to do that. Then you are able to, another set of you, you're able to look at the things around the house and you say, I don't need that shirt, I don't need those clothes anymore. I don't need these furniture anymore. I don't need all this equipment. Get rid of them, get rid of the wood, get rid of the clutter. And you have been able to get rid of those things around your house, and 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 keep your environment clean. You're clutter free. The only problem I think I would touch on as Shippy the Explorer this morning, I would touch on the fact that if you're decluttering your place, whatever your mind, body, and space, but especially space, you're decluttering, you're getting rid of clothes and equipment and all that, and you're going back next month and buying new stuff, then you are at a disadvantage. You're wasting your resources, and you're actually you're decluttering to one extent, but you're cluttering yourself with expense. You're overcoming your whole yourself and your whole soul with excessive expenditure. And in that sense, you're not doing good all in that you're not doing good in that sense, because you're getting rid of things that you could probably hold on to, especially if you're buying good clothes and furniture. Expensive clothes and furniture are not even expensive. Sometimes expensive things are not even the best thing. They're not even the best thing, but it's if you're good at buying quality stuff and it can last for a long while and you don't have excessive amount, then that's a good thing to do. But if you're getting rid of these things and then turning around and buying things right after the bat, then that's not a good thing. But I give you credit for those of us who are able to just detrash our mind, body, and place of living and make yourself free. Because when you do that, you're healthier in your mind. Believe it or not, you're healthier in your body. You're healthier in the way, in your space, and you can see what you have. You can walk around and enjoy your space. You can stretch your arms out and touch your walls. You can go into your bedroom, into your bathroom, and not have to be walking sideways like a crab, because the space is cluttered with books and boxes and pots and pans. You can get into your bed because it's not cluttered with old clothes and pile of clothes. And you can rest and dream and live and eat feeling uncluttered. And so at that moment your spirit is uplifted and you feel free to reach out and touch the hands of God. And so I got up this morning. We're encouraging you, do like nature, like this fig tree. God is putting the fruits on in spring, and in summer they will come up, and then they'll ripe and feed the animal, humans and animal alike. Birds, creepy crawlies, and the plant. And when they drop back in the soil, they'll nourish the thing. So even in nature is uncluttering. Nature is saying, don't clutter. Don't clutter. Use what you have. Accumulate what you need and use it. And then get rid of the excess properly. And so, as we declutter our mind, body, and space, we wish you all the high spiritual feeling that exists. Be free of all those things in life. Don't be a king and queen of clutter, but a king and queen of a spiritual high. And so Shippy the Explorer is saying, that's the topic this morning. That's thank you for watching. Thanks you for bearing with me. I'm not sure. I think I'm sure what my calling is. It's to bring you these topics, talk about these things to help maybe myself, but I'm sure members of this earth, people of this earth, sooner or later will understand that Shippy the Explorer has a message to give. So thanks. I appreciate you coming back and being steady subscribers. If you like these things, send them off to friends or friends and family and share them. And if you like the talk, just get a cup of tea, as I said, and have breakfast and sit down and listen to Shippy the Explorer just, well, running his mouth or telling you what the message that came to me that I need to give out. So thanks. I appreciate you so much for bearing with me. See you on another video. As soon as I get the next story, I'll bring it to you. Enjoy the rest of the day, the afternoon, or night. Talk to you. Walk good. Bye for now.